kann ich das denn jetzt nochmal
Always a
versuchen?
pleasure to see an officer of the law.
Nein. Beherrschung. Wo ist das? Da. Ich mach das jetzt. So, ja, also jetzt muss es klappen. Mit den Klamotten und allem.
Always a pleasure to see an officer of the law.
So, jetzt gib mir das.
That shirt looks very uncomfortable on him. Look at the buttons, barely keeping that thing together, as if something is ready to rip out from underneath.
Etwas, was er darunter trägt.
Yes, like a piece of ceramic armor, for example. One that makes a clicking sound when the plates meet each other, resembling pearls or marbles, stolen from the corpse in the yard near where he lives.
Wie ich sehe, sind Sie ein Liebhaber hochwertiger Gefechtsausrüstung.
I knew you'd figure it out, officer. I'm sorry I didn't tell you at once. I was
Er knöpft das Hemd auf.
ashamed of what I did. And I didn't want you to know.
Unter dem Hemd schimmert weiße Keramik. Eine dünne Schicht aus ineinandergreifenden Plättchen bedeckt seinen hageren Oberkörper.
This shame is surprisingly sincere.
Gary, what's going on?
Later, Morale. I've got apologizing to do.
Ja. Geben Sie mir dieses Rüstungsteil jetzt.
He sighs again, hangs his head, and unbuttons his shirt fully. A cuirass that matches the dead man's boots comes into view. Soon it is in your hands, smelling of his sweat. But so light to hold, like a bag of cotton.
Warum haben Sie diese Kleidung wirklich in den Müll geworfen?
Everyone was picking those pieces off him, and I was watching them do it. And they'd scattered his clothes all over the yard. Everything was smelling.
Er blickt auf seine Füße.
So I went there to take out the trash and started cleaning up. All those rags on the ground, him swinging up there, and I had a lapse of honor, sir. I thought, he's a foreigner. They all say he wasn't from here.
Hast du gedacht, einmal, du kannst deinen Rassismus einmal ausbügeln oder was?
Only the cuirass was left, so I stripped it off him. It was early in the morning. No one saw me. I took it with me. It was a mistake. Had I known it'd give you guys trouble, I wouldn't have... Fuck.
Warum haben Sie mich angelogen, Gary?
Because I was weak. I should have told you the moment I saw you. But
The hell, Gary? You in trouble?
Morell halt mal die Fresse.
I'll explain later.
Er bringt nicht genug Kraft auf, um zu schreien. Wissen Sie, wer den Gehängten auf dem Gewissen hat?
I always thought it was the Union, but I sure as hell won't go around saying that anymore. You have my word. I don't know, and I won't be running my mouth on this subject anymore.
Deshalb hat er Ärger bekommen. Alles klar. Sind wir hier fertig, Gary?
Yes, absolutely. I will never do anything like this again. I won't mess with Mr. Clare either. You have my word.
Alles klar. Ciao. Cool. Nein, der Mantel bleibt an. Aber jetzt haben wir schon mal Handschuhe, Stiefel und den Kürass. Was fehlt denn noch? Fehlt dann überhaupt noch was? Scheinbar schon. Was brauchen wir denn noch? Vielleicht noch Armschienen, das könnte sein. Alles klar, wenn ich Ihnen geholfen habe, den Nachtclub zu eröffnen. Ja. Hm. Morell. Jetzt bist du dran.
Here we go. Nice and easy. No way out, little guys. Not out of this gem.
There's a cylinder on the ground in which the man is arranging some netting. It looks like some kind of trap. He notices you.
Who's there? Oh, the police. Hello, officer.
Hello.
His self-conscious enthusiasm renders his movements ungainly. He looks like your understanding of a scientist.
Sie müssen Morell sein, der Kryptozoologe.
To what do I owe the pleasure?
Lena schickt mich. Sie macht sich große Sorgen um sie und wartet darauf, dass sie zurückkommen.
Of course. Thank you for passing along the message. That damn water lock is broken, and we can't go all the way around the A81.
Ja, das war ich. Ich habe die Schleuse mit meinem Motorwagen beschädigt, aber mittlerweile ist sie repariert. Sie können den Rückweg antreten.
You broke the water lock with a motor carriage. There was a billboard in the canal. Not a vehicle. It said Samaran Butter.
Sie haben wahrscheinlich recht. Es lag wirklich am Schild. Jedenfalls können Sie sich nun auf den Heimweg machen.
Did he say we can go back now?
Ja.
Yes, Gary. We can go soon. If you see Lena, tell her I won't be long.
Okay.
I just have to do one more round. See if the Phasmide has taken the bait. Then we're going.
Na toll. Er macht ein Netz wieder fest, das sich durch den Wind gelockert hat. Erzählen Sie mir von dieser Phasmide, nach der Sie suchen.
Well, first of all, it's damn difficult to find, which is why we've been knee-deep in the reeds laying traps for it.
Weshalb ist sie so schwierig zu finden?
Good question. Being a Phasmide of the order Phantasmodea, a ghost insect, it disguises itself as plant matter. In this case, the reeds. Awful lot of reeds around, aren't there?
Mhm.
And I suspect it may have also developed other specialized techniques to protect itself from predators, or scientists, in our present case.
Was für Spezialtechniken nutzt die Phasmide, um sich zu verstecken?
It's my hypothesis that it has evolved certain electrochemical defenses that allow it to interfere with animal perception, impeding pattern recognition, confusing the visual cortex. But I cannot describe how these defenses work, much less how they evolved, without studying a live specimen.
Yes, it makes perfect sense. You're beginning to suspect there's something paranatural about this Phasmide.
Wie groß ist diese Phasmide?
I'm expecting it to be quite giant. One known species of Phasmide, called the Megaphasmodea zoensis, is about the size of a grown man's forearm. So,
Oh, okay. Er überlässt die Schlussfolgerung dir.
Seems puny, to be honest.
Warum interessieren Sie sich so sehr für diese Schilfschrecke? Gibt es da draußen nicht aufregendere Tiere zu entdecken?
typical rookie assumption. Insects are much more sophisticated creatures than those unversed in zoology give them credit for. Even simply catching a glimpse of the Insulindische Phasmide would be the apex of of any cryptozoologist's career. But to study it and its defenses, find out how it stayed hidden so long.
Er schüttelt den Kopf.
Would be glory itself.
Was haben Sie bisher bei sie herausgefunden?
Very little, I'm sorry to say. No one's ever captured a specimen, so all our information is based on first and third-hand accounts.
Also hat noch nie jemand ein Exemplar gefunden?
Not yet. That's what makes it a cryptid.
Aber wenn niemand beweisen kann, dass sie existiert, wie können Sie dann wissen, dass es sie wirklich gibt?
I know it's real.
Sagte Kryptozoologe in so schroffem Ton, dass es sogar ihn selbst zu überraschen scheint.
By which I mean, I've heard enough first-hand accounts to believe quite firmly that the Insulindian Phasmide is more than mere superstition.
Lena hat erzählt, es habe eine Sichtung gegeben hier in Martinez.
Yes, the most recent sighting was by a couple of teenagers along the coast here. That's what brought us to Martinez specifically. It's the first credible sighting in several decades. Admittedly, it's an unusual location for this species, but with all the sewage runoff upstream, it probably doesn't matter much anymore.
Vielleicht ist die insulindische Phasmide ja ausgestorben.
I have to resist the thought. Such an extraordinary creature is doubtlessly highly resilient. After all, it's generally thought to be capable of parthenogenesis.
Parthenogenese.
Yes, the females don't need males to reproduce. Makes it easier for a species to survive in adverse conditions.
Das ist ziemlich intelligent.
Yes, the Insulindian Phasmide is a very clever insect. That's why it's so damn difficult to catch. But as a scientist, I'll try my best to remain dispassionate.
There's nothing dispassionate about the way he talks about the insect.
Erzählen Sie mir mehr über diese Fallen.
Well, they may not look impressive, but Lena designed them quite cleverly, so I'm sure they'll do the trick.
Lena hat die Fallen entworfen?
Yes.
Antwortet er mit durchaus stolzem Beiklang in der Stimme. Wie funktionieren die Fallen?
Simple. Attracted by the locusts, the Phasmide crawls down the funnel and, having eaten its fill, can get back out. At least, that's the intention. The net isn't a perfect solution, but we didn't want to use anything that might damage the specimen's delicate exoskeleton.
Was verwenden Sie als Köder? Er hat schon gesagt, Heuschrecken.
Locusts. Nearly all known phasmids are herbivores, of course. But we've hypothesized that the Insulindian phasmid might occasionally prey on other insects.
Inside the traps, a number of locusts crawl and tumble over one another in a tiny, chittering swarm.
Was werden Sie tun, wenn diese Fallen nicht funktionieren?
They'll work, I assure you. The predatory hypothesis, using locusts as bait, accounts for the failure of previous efforts by other teams, which use plants. We have given this some thought.
The traps do seem to be deftly and thoughtfully constructed. It's clear the cryptozoologist's wife knows what she's doing.
Lassen Sie mich etwas anderes fragen.
Yes. What?
Lena scheint sich ziemlich auf ihre Rückkehr zu freuen.
And I'm eager to return to her, I assure you. But I can't leave before we finish with these traps. My wife understands that just as well as anyone.
Er blickt nach Süden, wo Lena sich befinden würde, wenn sie hier wäre.
Come on, Morale. We've been soaking out here for days. It's time to go back.
And leave the traps? Absolutely not. I won't let Lena down.
Come on, she wants us back. I'm soaked up to my nuts over here. We'll both catch reed crabs if we don't dry out soon.
What? Let Lena down? Sounds like the cryptozoologist's wife shares a special connection to the Phasmid somehow.
Ich wusste nicht, dass die Phasmide Lena so wichtig ist.
Of course it's important to her. She's seen it. A verified sighting, on record. One of only 4 this century, and it's hers.
Wirklich? Sie hat die Phasmide gesichtet? Das hat sie mir nicht erzählt.
Yes, that's how we first came to know one another, in fact. But that's her story to tell, not mine.
Needless to say, you must ask her about the mysterious Phasmid.
Suffice to say, it's long been our dream to find proof of the Insulindian Phasmid together. I can't abandon course now.
Er hustet erneut, diesmal in seine Faust hinein. Okay, das verstehe ich. Ich gebe auch nicht auf.
Good. A good quality to have. Both for a police officer and an experimental zoologist.
I could go for some trap setting.
Ich könnte die Fallen ja für Sie kontrollieren.
I didn't expect you to take such an interest in our work here, officer.
Überraschung steht ihm ins Gesicht geschrieben. Kryptozoologie und Polizeiarbeit ähneln einander sehr.
Yes, indeed. Both require a great deal of research, attention to detail, and, above all, persistence.
Wo stehen diese Fallen?
There are 4 in total. One is to the south, on this little peninsula, by the boathouses there. It's very near. Another we set in Land's End, to the northeast. It's behind a small sand dune there, on your way to the old radio tower, after the church. The third is set near the canal, where you crossed, by a concrete slab. A big thicket of reeds going up the slope, and among them,
Er zeigt auf die Falle, die vor ihm steht.
you should check at least one of those before returning to this one, since I just said it. This one's more of a technicality, but still, better safe and stupid than sorry.
Was mache ich, wenn eine Phasmide in einer der Fallen ist?
Bring it to me at once. Just make sure the trap is closed tight.
Was mache ich, wenn ich der Phasmide in freier Wildbahn begegne?
That's highly unlikely, officer. But in the event you do, I'll spray you with a pheromone mixture I developed. It's made of musk and research chemicals.
Okay.
The pheromone should attract the insect to you, or at least prevent it from bolting at the sight of you. It's quite potent. Will last you about a week.
Besprühen Sie mich damit, und zwar ordentlich. Ich strecke ihm meine Achselhöhle entgegen. Wow. Benetzt sich mit der seltsam riechenden Flüssigkeit aus der Sprühdose. Ich bekomme die doppelte Dosis, weil ich ihm auch meine andere Achselhöhle entgegenstrecke. Also, schließlich nickt er dir zufrieden zu.
This is the smell of dying reeds, of longing crumbling into the water.
Ich bin bereit. Gehen wir an die Arbeit.
Thank you for your help. Gary and I will start breaking down camp. If you have any more questions, now's the time to ask.
Ja, ja.
Finally, you're being sensible. I'll start packing right now.
Ja, ich habe noch Fragen.
If it's more cryptid-related business you want to discuss, you'll have time for that later too.
Oh, okay.
But what if the information is vital? On the hunt.
Ja, ich frage alles jetzt noch. Wie sind Sie Kryptozoologe geworden?
I've just always liked animals and puzzles. Searching for cryptids is a bit of both.
He seems reluctant to talk about himself, but he'll open up, if you prod a little.
Also leben Sie hier draußen Ihren Kindheitstraum.
It's not child's play, just because I have to traipse through the mud every so often.
Haben Sie schon mal einen Kryptiden entdeckt?
No. Very few cryptids are ever discovered, and not for a lack of trying. To stay hidden is a cryptid's primary quality. It's even in the name, cryptid.
Wie viele Kryptiden sind denn dann bisher entdeckt worden?
Of the list of cryptids kept by the Cryptozoological Society of Chemney, which is 4,082 items long, about 2,000 have been confirmed as hoaxes. 2 are categorized as confirmed discoveries. The rest are in differing stages of discovery, refutation, and data collection.
Nur 2 sind erwiesenermaßen echt?
Yes, the Chateauquan forest pygmy, who turned out to be an extinct species of primate, and a cave salamander from Yugograd, who is, honestly, quite unremarkable. It's in a zoo somewhere.
Okay.
We cryptozoologists are brutally honest with ourselves, more so even than the public. With cryptids, most cryptids are hoaxes or they are never found. That does not mean we should stop searching.
Dann wird die insulindische Phasmide der dritte nachgewiesene Kryptid sein.
Indeed. If our expedition is successful, every paper in the world will report on it. From Revachol to Dushantu. It will be a zoological miracle.
The hair on your arms stand up. Electricity. Sounds like reeds hissing.
Warum werden sie nicht einfach Zoologe? Echte Tiere sind auch rätselhaft.
Real. I know you think one is a respectable profession, while the other is superstition. Everyone does.
Ich nicht. Die Kryptozoologie ist ein Beruf wie jeder andere.
Indeed. My methods do not differ from other scientists. I simply draw upon a wider variety of evidence. And I have more hope that something truly surprising might happen.
Your nerve endings tell you there is no such thing as a positive surprise.
Und ist Ihnen schon mal etwas wirklich Überraschendes passiert?
No, as I said, I have yet to catch a cryptid. Although I have come close. Close enough to keep trying.
Auf was für Belege greifen Sie zurück?
Everything from forgotten regional lore to newspaper accounts, like the one that brought us here, to look for the Phasmide. I keep a very open mind.
Danke für die Erklärung. Mich interessiert noch etwas anderes.
Yes?
Lassen Sie uns über bestimmte Kryptiden reden.
All right. What cryptids precisely? I usually discuss these things with specialists, so I don't know what.
We would have to discuss. He wants to say, but decides against it. Since you've offered to help, you need to ask him about specific cryptids. Cryptids you've heard about from Lena or his friend Gary. He won't just talk.
Ach so. Welchen Kryptiden haben Sie beinahe gefangen? Sie haben erzählt, dass Sie beinahe einen erwischt hätten.
A willow person. It's a long story. One non-specialist would find rather dull.
Was sind Weidenmännchen?
They're not people, really. Some argue they aren't really animals, as they seem to have evolved directly from trees.
Er sagt das vollkommen ungerührt, als sei es selbstverständlich.
They're very, very thin, almost flat in fact, and can camouflage themselves easily, wrapping themselves around trees and blending in with the tree bark. In that way, they're not too dissimilar from the Phasmide we're looking for here.
Moment, also habe ich diese Weidenmännchen vielleicht schon gesehen, ohne es zu bemerken?
You probably have.
Wie haben Sie beinahe ein Weidenmännchen gefangen?
Gary and I painted an entire grove's worth of trees in slow-drying paint. It was a bright lavender colour. I was hoping one of the willow people would get paint on it and not be able to camouflage itself. After waiting in hiding for hours, I saw a figure slip from one of the trees, a lavender shadow, dashing through the grove.
Und dann?
I chased it with a net. Not very elegant. You can't be elegant in the field. And, well, it was faster than me.
Ein lavendelfarbener Schatten?
I know it sounds like we were snacking on funny mushrooms, but I did see motion and colour. Mine is not a confirmed sighting of a cryptid, however. Much goes into verifying these things, and my account comes short of a few standards.
Und Lenas Sichtung der Phasmide ist die...
Confirmed. It's 100% verified and meets all the standards of an authentic cryptid sighting.
Erzählen Sie mir einfach von einem coolen Kryptiden, von irgendeinem Kryptiden.
No offense, officer, but I'm not much of a pedagogue. I don't know what I would have done if Lena hadn't persuaded me to go back to field research. You should ask her if you want interesting stories.
Okay.
Me? I'm not a people person, unless you haven't noticed. And I don't make a good lecturer. My strength lies in field work and persistence.
Er wischt eine Haarsträhne zur Seite, die sich vor sein Auge verirrt hat.
This is a gruff man who's been ridiculed. too many times to feel comfortable talking about what's dearest to his heart. It's in his shoulders, his face, is everything.
Das waren genug Geschichten. Wechseln wir das Thema.
By all means.
Wussten Sie, dass Gary die Rüstung versteckt hatte?
Hell no. I had no idea. And I'm still cross with him, to be honest. It's not like him. He's got his quirks, but dishonesty, disloyalty are not one of them.
Thanks.
He's still glad his friend stood up for him.
Okay, ich mache mich auf den Weg.